Sound speeds. And I'm starting to hear whispers in the sound community about certain companies looking at doing things like feature unlocks with a subscription service. I'm very much an advocate against this, and I'm going to explain why in this video. Let me start by saying that a few years ago, my family and I played the Wii. Then we upgraded to the Wii U, and we still occasionally play it, but occasionally we like to go back to those older systems and play those games. Just like how, when I was a kid, I used to play the Atari, or I'd play the Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, Nintendo NES, something like that, when you can still take those game systems, put a game in there, and play it. But with the Wii, when we went to connect it up, it said trying to download information to initialize from a server on the game that we put in there. And it could not find the server because it has been discontinued. It is no longer up by Nintendo. So was I able to play this game that we had spent money for? No. And this simply because they decided they were going to make it where the game required it to download some sort of information from the internet, even though the game was already installed. It was already on the system. And I already had the disc. It just needed to have this little code that says it came from the internet on a server they discontinued that shows that it was legit, I guess. So we weren't able to play that game. So we put in another game. Same thing. Another game, same thing. Now, this is not the same thing as subscribing a monthly fee to something like World of Warcraft, where you pay your subscription fee and it constantly keeps it updated. Adobe does the same thing with their suite. You can get Adobe, the editing software, Photoshop, Illustrator, whatever. You can subscribe to just the features you want, or you can download their entire suite, but you pay a monthly subscription first for it, and you do not pay for the actual software itself, just the monthly subscription fee to use it. That is different. If I were to have to buy this game, which I did, and then I am restricted from using it because, can't find the server, the company's decided it wasn't profitable enough to keep it going, they've discontinued it, now I am out money. It's the same thing that I have against if you buy a movie from a particular, like a digital copy of a movie from something like the Apple Store, and then they suddenly lose their rights to stream it to you. Well, don't you wish you bought physical media instead? Because you would be able to take the DVD or the Blu-ray or whatever and stick it in your player and play it. But no, you spent your hard-earned money on it even as recently as like earlier in the day, and you can no longer get it because they no longer have the license to be able to stream it. Unfortunately, I'm hearing a lot of people that are looking at things like this as being a problem and saying this justifies piracy. Just saying. But when it comes down to subscription-based features, I have an issue with this. Another example is BMW. Sometimes they have features like, for example, seat warmers. They sell you a vehicle with the ability for you to heat your own seats if you pay the subscription service to unlock this feature. Does that mean they're giving you all the parts in that seat that are going to heat up things for free, and they're hoping that you're going to be able to want to buy the subscriptions that way you can heat your seats? No, they charge you for that. And it's not like in the old days when they used to sell you a base version of it that doesn't have certain buttons and doesn't have certain features installed. And then they have an intermediate level that has some of the features, and then the fully loaded version that has all the features, and they charge you for every single step of the way. No, they're installing certain features in your vehicle, so they just make one vehicle of it, but they don't allow you to have access to it unless you choose to contact them and say, yes, I'd like to pay your subscription fee to use them. Now, to me, this seems to be one of those things where it opens up a market for people to create software hacks for things like your BMW, so that way you can get access to the features that you actually paid for, because they did charge you for the seat warming ability, even if you're not able to use it because you'll pay the subscription fee. It may be that they say, well, we suspect that 75% of the people are going to be paying for this half of the year, so we're going to say that this is 42%, so we're going to charge a premium of only 42% of the total cost or whatever. There may be some algorithm or whatever that they use and to come up with it. But they're giving you all those parts for free? No, they're still charging you for all those, but they might not be charging it the full amount, expecting subscription-based fees to pay for some of it. But I would suspect many companies that do this kind of a model, they throw it in there because it's cheaper for them to do that than set up the equipment to remake the equipment differently at the different tiers. But here's where I have a problem with it in the sound community. There is something that I'm not going to mention certain companies by name, but there is a particular company that wants to sell one device. And then depending on if you would like to have, let's just say, 4 of those inputs unlocked, well, it comes standard with that, so you don't need to unlock anymore. But if you want to get 8, you have to pay a fee to unlock additional inputs on that device. And then if you want to fully unlock it, then you have to pay additional money to unlock those features too. I have a problem with this. This is the same thing as the BMW, in my opinion. You pay for all this development and stuff, and then they just decide that they're going to, handcuff you and not allow you to use the full power of the unit that you bought. This is not the same as buying a device like this and it just does not include certain plugins. That's different in my opinion, where you can buy plugins for that. If I buy a laptop, I don't have expected to have every single software known to man on that thing. I can buy the laptop and then choose to install whatever software I want to. That is not the laptop manufacturer saying that if you want to install software on it, you have to pay us a fee. Or if you want to access more than 2 USB ports at a time, got to pay a fee. No, they're selling me a product and I can choose to do with it what I choose, as long as it's within their user terms of service. But when I buy a product and it has certain features built into that, I don't want to have to pay additional money in order to use this device that I have in my hand and all the hardware that it has currently installed on it for my benefit. It's different if it has a brain in there and you can install, let's say, a plugin that does something for you. That's different in my opinion, because that is more like a computer hard drive that you can choose to put on whatever you want to make it work. That is different. But I'm starting to hear that some manufacturers in the sound community are thinking about doing features that you have to unlock if you want those features by paying a fee. Don't do it. I'm very much against this practice, because what happens if after a few years you decide you're going to change your server that you use to pay and unlock these features? Does that mean that if I do a factory reset on this product and then I go to try to set it up again, I can't contact the server? There's no way to update the server information because that was hard coded into the system altogether. You're not going to be able to use this device that you bought. And in the world of sound, that could be something that's extremely expensive. It's the same thing as metering certain things. Like if I had a microphone and I said, well, if you use this for more than 1,000 hours, you're going to have to buy another 1,000 hours of use of that microphone. That would be insane. It's the same exact thing as me having to pay for a product and then having to pay again to use the same product that I've already bought. You don't like having to pay property taxes after you buy a house and you pay on the property taxes when you bought it, having to pay property taxes every single year. Same thing on your car. You have to pay property taxes on the car every single year. You don't like doing that, do you? That's government. We're talking about private industry and companies. We're talking about them selling you something and then you having to pay for the usage of that product again and again and again. I'm very much against this practice. For the same reason, I'm against DLCs. If you buy a game and then they say, well, we're going to give you more content if you want to pay for an additional $50 for this season. After you buy something, you have to pay for usage of that. I'm against that too. I'm not necessarily against it if you pay a monthly subscription fee and it keeps it updated with all the bells and whistles and keeps it in perfect working order. That's different to me. It's different when you pay outright your own money and then you go to use that product, for example, later and you can't because, well, the manufacturer just, decided to take that server offline. I am going to say right now, if you are part of any kind of a sound company that is looking into doing anything like this, paying to unlock features, please don't do it. I am personally going to advocate against buying any product that does this. It's different with something like Viviana Cloud, where you pay a monthly subscription fee for a certain amount of storage so you can upload your audio files directly to the cloud and it's safely stored. You can share it and whatever else in real time. That is a monthly subscription. You have that feature. You can do whatever you want to with it, and that's different. They're not selling you a product that is $1,000. And then they say, well, you can't use it anymore because we've decided we're going to make certain changes. That isn't the way it works. It is, you could say, hardware versus software. If you have hardware, you will have to maybe buy that hardware to interface with software. But once you have that investment done, you should be able to use it as long as you pay the subscription fee. This is kind of the same thing as like if you buy an action cam and you decide that you're going to do the unlock, using their app and whatever, getting to the web, which I personally also hate that too. But once you do that, you have full access to that. If you don't want to download additional software, fine, don't do it. You're not going to get all the newest features, but if you choose to upgrade and put those features on there, you're going to have them. But at some point in time, they're going to choose to discontinue all the features on that when they upgrade, whatever the action cam is. And then you still have a working unit that is perfectly fine. It is the same kind of thing with many products out there. But when you have to buy a product and then you have to constantly pay to use that same product or pay to unlock certain features to fully use the product you already have, I'm very much an advocate against that. And I would strongly recommend that if you want to keep this industry as honest as possible, you will advocate for the same kind of thing. Don't charge me for features if you charge me for the product. If you want to give me a product and then say, here's a brand new recorder, and this is normally it would cost about $20,000, but you can choose to unlock this and use this for basically essentially a rental fee of, let's say, $1,000 a month. That's different to me. That's you basically renting a product. And that's different than also having a product that you buy and then you pay a subscription fee in order to use or to unlock additional features. You get all the product that you're paying for when you pay for it. Now you may say, okay, but if you're buying a product that's a base edition and you decide you want additional inputs, do you have to trade in that and get another model? Well, normally, yes. I don't want to end up spending, money for 12 inputs if I'm only wanting 4. And then, sure, I may have the option of unlocking 5 or 8 or whatever later, maybe 4, 8, and 12. I may have the option of buying an upgrade, package later. But that means that what if I don't? I've just spent all that extra money for all that extra tech that goes into that just for the thing to sit there and say, you can't use me like this. You're asking for someone to come in on the market and hack that device. And there are hackers you can pay a fee to that will hack the device if you want to pay them $100 or a little bit more. Does that mean that I'm going to advocate against companies like that or people like that will say, I will hack this device so you can actually use the device that you bought? Legitimately, I should say no, but I can't really fault someone for wanting to use a product that they bought. Just being honest. So anyway, tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. But in the meantime, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Sound Speeds, where I bring to you things to think about regarding sound products and others. And as always, bring you sound advice. Have a question you'd like answered or want to add something? Be sure to write it in the comment section down below. You can also make a suggestion for future topics of discussion. Again, comment section down below, or you can email me at soundspeeds@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on future sound advice.